Okay, I am Lakmal and I am working on the cloud technologies. Uh, so, uh, so we had a briefing discussion last week, and and I got to know some of the you guys are new to cloud technologies, and so we have introduced some technologies with the last session. So I hope you guys are done your homework. So I will go more on that. We'll continue the same technologies and show how the current trend, the containers do in the cloud world, and hopefully in the second half I will do some demo for deploying your how to deploy your application into the cloud and how you can scale, and so there are some other cloud aspects. We'll get my machine. Okay, so the session is the first part. I will talk about how Docker gave a very evaluation technology to the cloud world, and then there are a lot of other open source technologies come up with this Docker technology, and how they use Dockers, and how you can build your own cloud application with Dockers and deploy it in the cloud. Okay, so by starting, so I will, so I think you most of you know about the traditional virtualization technology, like so VMware and Amazon EC2 and all the stuff. So I will explain how differ containers from traditional virtualization technologies. So normally, if you look at the normal traditional virtualization technology, it will start with hardware. Then you are having the OS top of the hardware, and then there is a hypervisor installed in the OS, and top of that you will have the virtual image that run top of hypervisor. So this virtual OS will interface to the immediate hardware that provided by the hypervisor. So that's a normal the traditional virtualization working. This is well documented. You all know that. And so we'll look at how Docker or how container differs from this normal virtualization. So if you look at the containers, and you can see it's same building the same foundation hardware and then the OS, and then top of that there is a containers. So containers is coming from the Linux kernel features using a namespace, C group, and CH group, and other among kernel features. And so in this container you have your own application, and also you can link with your application dependencies. So if you carefully look at, so there is no OS component inside the container. It will bring a lightweight into the containers. So these containers was there more than 30 years, but the problem was that so there is no standard mechanism or very tools to deploy your application inside to the containers. So that's why the Docker came. So Docker will provide tool set or the standard way to provide deploy your application into the containers. So I will explain more detail how is Docker working. So then you can get an idea, and you can think about your application, and you have to know about the other technologies how it's working on. So if you look at the hardware and the OS, and then there is a Docker daemon running with the Docker host machine. So, that is a Docker has mainly 4 parts. So, this is first part is a Docker daemon. So, you can talk to the Docker daemon using some APIs. So, there is a command line tools. So, you can talk to the Docker daemon using these command line tools. And this Docker daemon will communicate with the lib container and create the containers inside the Docker host machine. So, it will use kernel features like I explained, namespace and chroot and this C groups, and then you can deploy your application into this container. So, how you can deploy the application? So, that is why the fourth part came to the picture, that is Docker registry. So, Docker has this registry that is reside in the cloud. So, you can deploy, you can push your application into the cloud with the dependencies, and then the Docker daemon, you can tell to Docker daemon with the command line tool, okay, I need this application deployed into my container. So, then this Docker daemon will pull the application from the registry and then it push into the container, then you are ready to go with your live with your application. So, this is how Docker working with the workflow. So, this is very easy to work on. Within a few commands you can deploy your application into the container. So, another part is that why is this container very useful. So, say the development environment, you want to develop your application with this some dependencies. So, then you need to get the isolation for your development environment, and then you can create Docker, and you can deploy your application inside this Docker. Then if you want to take it into the testing environment, so there is nothing change, you can just take same Docker file, a Docker image, and test it, deploy into the testing environment. So, there is nothing change within the development and the testing environment. So, that it is provide very flowing workflow. So, that is what very popular with the developers to use the Dockers for their application development. Then if you want to go to the production, so same Docker image can push to the production servers with this very bulletproof servers like Red Hat, and you can same container can use in that servers with the production environment. So, there is a developer and the testing and the production, there is nothing change to your environment. So, it is very useful, helpful to go to the development life cycle. And also the Docker registry is very another important fact is there. So, if you use a normal traditional virtualization technology, if you create an image, say it will take something around 2 GB or 4 GB, then you did some changes to that particular image, say from kilobyte changes. But if you want to save it, it will save, take the snapshot and save it along with the previous one, that is take another 4 GB plus whatever changes. So, then every time you change your virtualization image, you have to save it in the whatever location. So, with the Docker registry, that is different. So, if Docker what is doing that, say you have a base image with 200 MB, then you are doing some changes or you are adding some new file with some kilobytes. Then if you going to save that, it will only save the diff with the newest and the oldest one, and with diff saved as another layer. So, every time you are doing changes, it will only store the difference with the old and new. There is a lot of layers. There is no in the storing side, it is taking only few kilobytes to take your storing your changes. And so, if you look at the Docker file system, so say you are booting your Docker image, that is your application with the dependencies into the Docker container. So, what it does is it will pull all the layers that is stored into a Docker registry layer by layer and load it particular order, and all these layers are read-only file, taking as a read-only file system, and then the Docker uses this UnionFS file system. So, by using union of this whole layered file system, you can get the whole full file system. And another important fact is that Docker will provide the the writable layer, other all below layers are only the read-only. So, if you all the changes what you are doing inside the Docker, it will only go into this top layer called writable layer, and if you do some changes into the below layer, it will, what is doing that, it will take a copy of that layer into the writable layer and do the changes, and from that you are not seeing the readable layer, we are only seeing that taken copy and in the writable layer. So, this is a file system that taking the Docker in very advantage, and so this is very, these are the fact that Docker gave the very boost into the cloud technologies, even the developers and all the other among the other parts. And with this Docker comes, there are a lot of other open source projects will came up. So, there are, if you look at Docker, search a Docker, then you can find a lot of hundred of new open source technologies. So, this is one of these CoreOS. So, CoreOS recently released their stable release. So, what is this CoreOS? So, if you look at the Docker, it will run top of Linux kernel, and it can run normal in Ubuntu or Red Hat or CentOS. So, that's you can run Docker inside this normal machine. What the CoreOS guys are doing is, they will only provide the Docker support Linux kernel plus that install Docker and some tools to help to do the clustering. And the, what is their concept is that, so you can run your application inside a Docker. So, there is no need to have package management like apt-get or yum or rpm or whatever. So, whenever you need to install what application, say I need to install Firefox this version. So, I can create Docker, I can just deploy that Docker into the my CoreOS image, and I want to have another same Firefox in same different version. I can create another Docker with different versions, I can deploy to same machine, and I want to run say Ubuntu OpenOffice inside my CoreOS. That's also possible. I can create a Docker with Ubuntu OpenOffice and run in my CoreOS machine. So, that likewise, so you can bundle, you can isolate your dependencies inside the Docker, and you can run all the application within one Linux kernel. So, it is a simple concept, but it is very powerful. And so, and also for the developers, so I want to test some scenarios with some dependencies. Say with my application need Python 2.7, and so normal things I have to downgrade the Python into 2.7 and test in my application. With the Docker world, you can just create a container with Python dependency with Python 2.7 and test it. The same machine you can test with the Python 2.8 with the same application. So, there is no interaction these dependencies. So, you can isolate your dependencies inside the container. So, it is very easy to developer to test and develop the application with these new technologies. And another technologies that recently came with is Kubernetes. This is recently open source from Google. So, Google using this Kubernetes in their cloud platform. So, what they are saying that they are deploying 2 billion Docker containers within a week using this Kubernetes platform, Kubernetes scheduler. This Kubernetes is a scheduler. So, it deploy all the Dockers across their data center, across their host machine, and manage the clustering part, and also it come with auto healing and all the other required concept in the cloud technology. So, I will show some demo how you can use CoreOS cluster and Kubernetes cluster, and how you can create your application and deploy into this particular Kubernetes cluster, and you can scale into different hosts, or how the self-healing happening. Like I will show some demos. So these are the cloud concept. So that newly used in this technology. So in the cloud hackathon also, so this is we are mainly focusing cloud hackathon. So what we are expecting also, so if you are develop application, say application X, so you have to think about how you can say, if you are deploying cloud application, that is you should think about how the cloud application can access from the million of users. Then how you can scale for the particular cloud application to this million of users accessing. What are the concurrent access you can have for this cloud application. How you can scale, or how you can provision the required resources to this cloud application. This is a cloud concept you need to think about with your cloud application. So otherwise, if you develop a very cool app and you are putting into the cloud, this doesn't work, because if say 100 people access same application, then if you are not think about this cloud concept, then it will fail. So what we are expecting in the cloud hackathon with your proposals, also you have to think about how you can bring this concept into your application while you are doing the POC. But you have to think about what are the other aspects I have to think when you are developing a cloud applications. Okay, so I will move on the demo. Okay, so here I have running, you can see I am running 4 VirtualBox images. So here one is Kubernetes master, and other 2 is Kubernetes other host machine that we are calling is minions, and 4th one is the discovery service. It helps to do the clustering among this Kubernetes and the CoreOS. All these are CoreOS machine. So that's not normal Linux image. It is running top of the CoreOS. Here I am in the Kubernetes master machine. So say if I there's this Kubernetes project will provide some APIs. So if I this kubectl is the API tool. This Kubernetes provide. I already explained the last time also. They are calling these ports. So if I look, just ran the ports, you can see there are 4 ports running in this cluster. So I have to restart. Okay, and I will show. Okay, before that, this is my Docker file. This is a simple Docker file. I just installed Apache and put some HTML file, PHP files, and I will show what is that inside the PHP, and expose port 80 and SSH for some debugging. And I have created Docker images and pushed to the Docker, and also this is in the public Docker Hub. You can look at this name, and so if you see that running Docker ps command, you can see there are 3 servers running. So I will first I will clean this one. Okay, so now you can see there's nothing running in this host. If you run the Docker command, So, here this is the Kubernetes the network Docker that is running. It will provide some infrastructure services, and here if you write, okay, something happened. Yes. Okay. Okay, I will. So my application is called Hackathon demo. So I will create one replica using this my container. So I will, if you look at, so it will starting up. So starting up one container. I can't do this. Something like I have to restart the servers. I have sleep the machine. We restart it. So I will start the same 3 servers. So if I can do SSH, okay, list my okay, it's 1 now. This will come in 1, 2, okay. Let's wait until other minions come. Okay. Okay. Now you can see 3 minions that is Docker hosts are running. Then if you issue CFG list pods, so there's nothing running in the current one. So I will deploy my application in one replicas, that is one machine. Now you can see it will start up in one host machine, that is a 101 machine. If you look at here with the Docker PS, you can see it will start at one machine. So if I access via my browser here, that is 101 machine. So this is my application. It is running. So this is the IP address that privately running inside the Docker. And so if I run same thing in the 100 and the 102 machine, that's nothing, right? And if you look at here, if you look at the here, it is running in the 101 machine. So now I want to scale my application into the another 2. Say I can do the same, issue the same command, kubectl resize my controller, and I want to have 3. So, if I run that, so it will the Kubernetes scheduler will schedule another 2 containers in other 2 host machines. So, if I list this, then you can see so they are coming up. So, it will in the waiting state. Okay. So, all 3 are now created, it will waiting for the application coming up now. Okay. Now, applications are ready. You can see if I minimize this, you can see 102 and 101 machine running 2 other same containers. So, if I look at here, so it is running a different IP address, you can see different container, and also here it is running another one different IP address. So, within a few seconds you can replicate your application across the clustered CoreOS cluster. And so, now I want to update my machine. Okay, I will show another thing. I will distro one this port and show how the Kubernetes self-healing and create the same port inside a particular host machine. Say I want to config delete one of my container. This I will give the ports and my port ID. So, I am going to delete in 101 machine. So, I will delete this one. Okay, this port. Something here. And get this one. Oopsie, delete. Okay, this is a port and use same one or next one. I will try that. Okay, something. Oops, CFG list ports. I know something happened that command. So if I okay, that's slash. I forget it. Okay, this one. Okay, slash. Okay, it will delete. Okay, then if I list that, you can see there's now 2 containers, and there's not Kubernetes cluster create another container on the fly and do the self healing. You can see it will up now 3 containers, and if you access this one, same are running now. So, if you look at it will maybe come up with different private IP address. Okay. Now, I will going to update my Docker. So, I am going to update my index file, and so I want to say something else here. Say I will okay, welcome to Lesotho. Hackathon. Okay. So, I will build my Docker with these changes. So, I will use Docker command, Docker build -d, and I will use same name. Now, it will rebuild my Docker with my new changes to my application. Okay. Okay, it built. Now I am going to push this container into the Docker registry. So here I am pushing to the public cloud that is in the Docker hub. So it will push via the internet. Docker push, and I will give okay, this is my repository name. Okay, it's going to push down. So here what I am going to show now. So your application's runtime is separated out with your application now. So here while whenever after I pushing, even your application doesn't change until you want to say I want to update my application with whatever newest image that you push into the Docker. I will show how you can do that, and you can mention okay, what are the time period you want to wait while updating all the cluster. Say I want to wait 25 seconds for each update. So it will wait, it will update one container and wait 25 seconds and update the second container. So like that you can send update to all the across your cluster, and then it is very easy to manage in the DevOps updating your cloud applications. So it will push in now. So it's a few changes, it's kilobyte kind of changes. It will pushing to the public cloud to the internet. And so after I giving the update information, so here this scenario I am using a public Docker hub repository, and here Docker also you can have the private repository, then you can fastly download from the private one, and if you want to use a public one also it's work, so, but it will take some time to download via the internet. Okay, we will wait a few more seconds. You can see this, while this pushing, it will push by layered manner. So from the all the top part, it will skipping because already you are pushed that layers into the public repo. Okay, now already pushed now. Now I am going to do the rollout thing. So here. Okay, here I am going to say within 25 second time interval, I want to rolling update my application, that is hackathon demo. So I will going to issue this one, and while I am issuing this one, we can see okay, this is running imports. Okay, so I am saying roll my update. It will so if I look at here, so now one of will destroyed. Okay, this one is destroyed. Now it will pull in the newest changes. While it will pull in the newest changes, other two are not changed. It will serve the current load, and so after it will pull all the changes from the repository. Then after 25 seconds, it will start the roll the update the other container as well. So I will show that. Okay. So it will take some time since it is in the cloud, getting via internet. Okay, it activated now. Okay, see it will come with the update. Welcome to the WSO2 hackathon, and same it will do the other cloud, and it will got all the updates. Okay, this is what I want to show. Think about while you are doing the your project. So how you can use this newest technology. All these projects are open source, so you can use them, and you can make your application in a very cloud friendly manner. And you can here you can see from the development stage to the production deployment stage, these containers will help to you the help you to do the all the stages. So you have to think about this concept while you are doing the project. So if you are not use kind of this concept or these technologies, so you have to come up with new one and say how you can manage your application to serve the cloud requirement. Okay, so this is my presentation, and so I want to update one more thing. So this is how we are going to evaluate your project. So we are looking at how new or how important or whatever your project idea and concept. So we are giving some marks for that item, and then we are looking at what is your approach to take implementing this cloud concept or your project idea. So we are giving some marks to that also. Then how the POC works, that's also getting your marks. Then the last one is how the team present your project in how to sell your project, kind of the marketing aspect. So all the first milestone and the second milestone, we are giving only the feedback. There is no marks for 2 milestones. And the third one, you are getting 75 marks in the third milestone. So that is supposed to work the POC. And the last milestone, you can present your project with the last part, how you can sell your concept or sell your project. So that we are giving other 25 marks with the whole project with that concept. So these are the things I want to update. Any questions? So I can wrap up my session. Okay, thank you.